Welcome back. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It truly helps more than you know. Today, we're unraveling a quietly powerful development surrounding Maddie Brown, the daughter of Sister Wives patriarch Cody Brown. In the shadow of a fractured family, Maddie's voice has emerged, carrying a weight that many believe exposes a painful distance growing deeper with time. It began after the family's infamous relocation to Flagstaff, a move that marked more than just a change in zip code. It was a pivot point. What once resembled a united family began to fracture, slowly, painfully, and for many. The reason was crystal clear: Cody's unwavering fixation on Robin and her children, often at the cost of everyone else since then. He's been absent not just from the lives of his adult children, but from his grandchildren too. A silence. An absence that stretches far beyond what words could explain. And now, Maddie, who had remained relatively quiet, posted something subtle but sharp. A message that didn't name names, but fans read between the lines. It felt like a daughter, speaking not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. During season 19, Maddie appeared only briefly, but what she didn't say said everything. Viewers noticed something chilling. She only refers to her father by his first name, Cody. Not dad, not father, just K-O-D-Y. To longtime fans, that small detail was a red flag. Silent declaration. An emotional withdrawal that may be far more profound than we know. Some even believe that after the heartbreaking death of Garrison, Cody slipped further away from the rest of his children, and their children, and Maddie. Based on what we're seeing, she may be keeping her own kids at a deliberate distance. Then came the Instagram story, the moment that lit the fuse. Maddie shared a deeply personal post. She didn't mention Cody. She didn't have to. The timing, the tone, it all felt too intentional. She wrote, "If someone can't respect me, they don't get access to me or my kids. You don't get to play family when it's convenient." For the part that hit hardest, she added, "I won't let my children witness abuse and mistake it for love." That line, that truth, coming from someone raised in a complex, very public family dynamic, it says everything. For Maddie, peace isn't negotiable, and disrespect, that won't be inherited. "Our time is valuable," Maddie said quietly. "And as a mother, it's always my duty to protect them." So where does that leave Maddie now? In truth, she seems okay. More than okay. Despite the storm swirling around the Brown family, Maddie has found calm, a quiet, grounded life with her husband Caleb and their children. It's tucked away in North Carolina. There's a gentleness to it, something earned, something chosen. Even better, her mom Janelle lives nearby. She's been building her dream home not far from Maddie's, a new chapter for both of them, away from the chaos that used to define their world. And Maddie, she's thriving in motherhood. Just last week, she shared a heartwarming story about her daughter Evie's dance recital, a moment filled with love, pride, and something deeper. After months of practice, Maddie sat in the audience, glowing as she watched her little girl light up the stage. But it wasn't just about dancing. Evie, who was born with a limb difference, has never been defined by it. Instead, it's become a symbol not of limitation, but of resilience, of power, of purpose. She's sharper than a tack. Maddie smiled, her words full of wonder. "And every time I see her step into the world, I remember how lucky we are to have her extra spark in our lives." But back in the world of Sister Wives, peace is a far cry from what's unfolding. In the final part of the season, 19 Tell All, things hit a boiling point. Janelle, once Cody's loyal wife, didn't hold back all season. We watched Cody Brown try to shift the blame, redirecting it toward his ex-wives. Denial disguised as deflection. Accountability always seemed just out of reach. It got so Tenstat host Sukanya Krishnan had to confront him directly, pushing him to face the consequences of the choices he made. But then Janelle spoke, and what she said shook the room. Her words weren't cold. They were clear, focused, measured. But beneath that calm was a storm, and she wasn't alone in the third installment of the Tell All. Mary came forward too, and what she shared brought a chill. She recalled a memory. From back when they still lived in Las Vegas, she had asked Cody a simple question, one that any partner would ask. How was the Coyote Pass property going to be divided? It should have been a reasonable conversation, but instead, she got something else, not an answer, but hostility. Cody didn't answer her question. Instead, he lashed out. His reaction wasn't just defensive, it felt accusatory, like Mary had crossed a line. As if asking about the land division meant she had some hidden agenda. And Mary wasn't the only one. Janelle brought up the same issue and got the same cold, calculated response. That moment, it stuck with her. During her sit-down with host Sukanya Krishnan in part 3 of the Talal, Janelle peeled back the curtain. She spoke carefully, but not vaguely. According to her, the relationship she once had with Cody had deteriorated into something poisonous. A loop, a pattern, a trap. She described it as love bombing, when someone showers you with affection after they've hurt you just to pull you back in. A cycle of highs and lows. Control masked as care. Then came the moment that made viewers hold their breath. Suki looked Janelle in the eye and asked, "Are you saying Cody's a narcissist?" Janelle paused. You could feel her calculating how far she was willing to go. "I'm not a psychologist," she replied with a soft caution. "So I can't technically call him that." But her eyes said what her words didn't. She made it clear the red flags were there. The signs weren't subtle. Still, Janelle left it to the audience. You decide, so what's next in this ever-expanding drama? TLC just dropped a preview for part 4 of the Talal. And if you thought it would start to settle, think again in the teaser. We see Janelle reacting to something Christine says, something raw, that Cody cares more about appearances than he does about authenticity. Janelle doesn't even flinch before agreeing. Cody definitely prefers people to be polished and put together, she says plainly. It's like, image matters more than what's really happening underneath. The camera cuts to Cody, irritated, tight-lipped. He's questioning why Christine and Janelle still talk about him at all. His frustration is visible, simmering. You can almost feel it crawling through the screen. Then Robin speaks. She claims she's confused, even annoyed, that her name keeps coming up. But it's Mary who calmly, quietly, finally sets the record straight. She's never been the one to bring Robin into their family dynamic. Not the way people think. And then comes a contradiction, one that's becoming harder and harder to ignore. Cody made a bold claim. He said he never felt a first spark with any of his wives, except Robin. A statement like that doesn't land quietly. Whether it's his truth or a carefully edited version of the past, one thing is clear. Those words are unlikely to sit well with the rest of the family. But this goes deeper than hurt feelings. What the Browns once believed, they were building a shared mission, spiritual calling, a united front held together by faith and love, is slowly unraveling. Loss, disillusionment, and a clarity that only comes after years of silence are pulling it all apart. And quietly, at the center of this unraveling, is Maddie. She's never been the loudest voice. But lately, she's become something else. A quiet guide. A compass. Far from the noise of Flagstaff, Maddie has carved out a different life. One of intention. She's raising her children, tending to her home, choosing peace over chaos. She no longer clings to the illusion of unity, the dream that once bound the Browns. And in that quiet letting go, she's speaking volumes. There's no rage. In her words, no public outbursts. Instead, Maddie has chosen a path paved with conviction, integrity, and, most of all, distance. But don't mistake her distance for indifference, if anything. Her recent words make it achingly clear she's deeply affected by her father's absence. Not just his physical absence, but the deeper one. The absence of heart, of effort, of love. This isn't just a story of a daughter drifting away from her father. It's the slow, painful toll of years spent watching from the sidelines, witnessing others be chosen while she and others like her were left behind. Cody once saw himself as a spiritual patriarch, a man with a divine calling to guide, a family united by shared beliefs. But over time, that vision began to fracture. The weight of multiple relationships became too heavy. The emotional balance impossible to maintain. One by one, the bonds frayed. Wives left. And with them, the emotional connection of their children slipped quietly away. Maddie once admired her father, saw him as a moral compass, a protector, a leader. But year by year, that admiration gave way to doubt. The sermons no longer matched. The man, the ideal he once represented, now felt hollow. And Maddie, like so many others, was left to wonder, was it ever real? She had seen it all behind closed doors. Maddie watched her mother once, endlessly patient, eternally loyal, begin to come undone. Not in front of cameras, not with drama, but slowly. Silently, in private moments that chipped away at her spirit, she witnessed her father's world shrink. Day by day, his universe began to orbit solely around one woman. And her children, everyone else. Background noise. Extras in a story they once believed they were part of. Love once spoken as unconditional, now came with caveats. With terms, with strings. Family vacations, no longer shared. They became fractured, split. Broken togetherness was replaced. With division, still, Maddie kept her composure. She tried to play it fair, respectful, diplomatic. But time has a way of peeling back the truth. Eventually, even the quietest child notices when a parent stops showing up, not just for the birthdays or recitals, but for the moments that matter most, the ones that can't be rescheduled. The ones where being present says everything. When Maddie finally spoke, it wasn't in a headline. It wasn't on a reunion stage or a TV confessional. It came in a post, quiet, private, but unshakable. A message not meant to explode, but to resonate. Her words were written with grace, but they didn't flinch. She spoke of boundaries, felt the power in saying no to those who twist love into something conditional. She wrote of her role as a mother and of the sacred responsibility to protect her children. Not just from danger in the traditional sense, but from emotional manipulation. From figures who drift in and out as they please. And for so many adult children watching, it hit home. This wasn't just about a celebrity family's turmoil. This was familiar. Universal. It was about those who only show up when it suits them, not when the relationship truly needs them. And Maddie's message, crystal clear: respect is not negotiable. And access to her children. That's not a right. That's earned, especially not by those who refuse to offer that same respect in return. Though her message was brief, its impact rippled outward. Siblings responded with understanding, not outrage. Fans speculated but also nodded in recognition. Even certain members of her family seemed to sense the deeper meaning beneath her words. This wasn't an emotional outburst. It was something else. A line drawn in quiet defiance. A strong, unwavering message from a daughter to her father. And for many watching, sometimes it's the smallest moments that speak the loudest. When Maddie appeared on Sister Wives, she didn't call Cody Dad. She used his name, plain, distant. To some, that may have seemed trivial, a slip of habit. But to others, it felt deliberate, a subtle reclaiming of space, stripping away a title that, in her eyes, had not been earned. This wasn't vengeance. It was clarity. It marked the turning point, not just in how Maddie lived her life, but in how she expressed it. She no longer needed Cody's approval or presence. She was building something separate, something sacred, a life guided not by legacy, but by intention, her own definition of family shaped by love, not obligation. And in that, she made it clear, if someone doesn't make her feel seen, they're not part of that vision. Her quiet rebellion has been powerful. Growing up in a plural household offered both warmth and confusion. She watched her mothers support each other, saw the strength in that bond. But she also saw what favoritism and silence did to the people she loved. What it did to her. As a child, Maddie believed in the structure her parents upheld. But with adulthood came questions, truths, realizations that didn't always sit comfortably. Her break from the old ways wasn't loud. There were no confrontations, no big announcements. She simply moved on. She chose a partner who brought stability instead of chaos. She built a home founded on intention, not duty. And she made a quiet vow to her children. They would never experience the same emptiness she once did. These days, Maddie is there for everything, every bedtime, every play, every scraped knee. Not just physically, but fully present, aware, protective. And in that presence, she's rewriting the meaning of parenthood. Motherhood for Maddie isn't a task, it's a mission. She's the guardian and the giver, the protector and the peacekeeper. She once said her home feels holy, a calm space, and she meant it. Even if hate arrives disguised as family, she won't let it through the door. One of her most poignant declarations. She refuses to teach her children that cruelty is love, that being dismissed or emotionally erased is normal in a relationship. That message, it landed, especially for daughters of emotionally absent fathers. It struck a chord that echoed beyond the screen, because Maddie isn't just a mother. She's healing, she's growing. And in that process, she's giving voice to countless others who've felt the same. Heartbreak. But perhaps the most devastating piece of her story is this: the emotional distance between Cody and his grandchildren. It says more than any argument ever could. He's not there. He misses birthdays, he skips milestones. And those little ones who once called him Grandpa are starting to know him only through stories, not experience. Maybe Cody doesn't realize the gravity of that loss. Maybe, in his mind, he's been unfairly shut out. But the truth, this is what years of emotional neglect look like. Relationships, especially with children, aren't rights. They're privileges. They must be built, maintained, earned. Now, Cody's once vast family world has narrowed. He used to juggle multiple wives, homes, children, but those days are gone. Today, his bond with Robin, once his emotional stronghold, appears to be the only connection that still holds weight. Even that, though, seems changed as more of his children grow into adulthood and parenthood. The questions are becoming harder to ignore. They want answers, accountability, reflection, and Cody. He's left to face those echoes without the safety net of the family he once commanded. Maddie's words weren't just a personal boundary. They sparked a much larger conversation. She didn't just draw a line for herself. She opened a cultural moment. A daughter asking, what does it really mean to be a father? The answers are still out there. But Maddie isn't waiting around. Far from the lights and chaos in a quiet corner of North Carolina, she's found her center. A life rooted in peace, creativity, and values she fought to define. Her mother Janelle is just down the road, a constant, soothing presence. A living reminder that healing is possible in family. It's what you choose to build. Both of these women have done something remarkable. They've redefined what family means, not through tradition, but through transformation. A new kind of foundation built on respect, not repetition, purpose over pressure, presence over performance. That's the legacy they've chosen. Maddie doesn't talk much about her past anymore. And when she does, it's not from bitterness, it's from closure. Her gaze is forward, focused on the small joys of life. She speaks with wonder about watching her daughter, born with a limb difference, step confidently onto the stage. She marvels at her son's curiosity as he starts to ask deeper questions about the world. These are the moments she's collecting now, not stories of survival, but stories of connection. And in that shift, something powerful is happening. A new legacy is being written. Maddie Brown is no longer the wounded teen lost in the wreckage of a broken family, chasing her father's approval. She's a woman now, with her own voice, her own values. Yes, she still carries her father's surname, But that's where the comparison ends. She's chosen clarity over nostalgia, courage over comfort, love or blind loyalty to a system that failed her. Could there ever come a time when Cody tries to make amends? Maybe, but if that day ever arrives, he won't be meeting the same daughter he once knew. He'll be facing a woman forged in fire, in truth and strength. Meanwhile, the once mighty empire of celebrity polygamy continues to crumble, quietly but unmistakably. In the third and final part of the highly anticipated Sister Wives Tell-All special, emotions ran hot. Candor replaced caution. And from the emotional wreckage, one voice cut through louder, stronger, and no longer filtered by fear. Janelle Brown, long viewed as the gentle, grounded wife. Janelle stunned even loyal fans with her raw honesty. Where she was once cautious, she's now unflinching. She spoke aloud what so many never dared to. Not just about what Cody did, but about the lies he maintained to keep control. The woman who once lived for shared dreams now shattered the myths that held them all hostage. And she came with receipts. But it wasn't Janelle who started the fire, it was Mary when the tell-all began. The topic turned to Coyote Pass, the land that once symbolized unity, a shared future now. It's a monument to division. Before, the family moved to Flagstaff when they were still split between two homes in Las Vegas. Mary asked a simple question. How would the land be divided? It wasn't accusatory. It wasn't about greed. It was about fairness. But Cody didn't answer with reason. He responded with suspicion. His tone, she remembered, turned cold, biting dot. It was as if asking about the land meant she was betraying him. And she wasn't alone. Janelle later revealed she had asked similar questions and received the same sharp tonelle. Defensive response. The land once promised as a sacred place where the family's children could build homes of their own had become something else entirely. A bargaining chip, a power play. Less about unity, more about control. Then came a moment that silenced the room. Janelle took a breath, the kind that carries years of unspoken truth, and told her story. She described how each time things fell apart, Cody would suddenly return. Different. Affectionate, charming, suddenly full of compliments and tenderness. It felt like healing until the cycle repeated. What she finally saw with distance and clarity was not reconciliation. It was manipulation. Host Sukanya Krishnan tilted her head and said softly, "That sounds like love bombing." Janelle nodded. "Yes," she said. "That's exactly what it was. It's a surge of charm to cover the damage. Then back to pain, then charm again. A cycled dot, and then came the most chilling moment of all. Janelle spoke plainly. It's the behavior of someone who needs control. She was careful, not accusatory. "I'm not a therapist," she said, "but when I started reading about narcissism, it felt like I was reading straight out of my own diary." Her voice carried both conviction and sorrow. She spoke of blame shifting, the absence of accountability. How every emotional wound was followed by a temporary high. Then, the pattern began again. "Let the viewers decide," she said, and for a moment there was only silence. Because this wasn't just about her marriage. It wasn't just about a reality show. It was about emotional erosion. Years of gaslighting, confusion, guilt, and a woman finally standing in the light. Janelle shared how often she doubted her own reality. She cried, she was dramatic. If she stayed quiet, she was cold. Whatever she did, it was never right. Because the rules always changed. Mary's experience wasn't so different. When she spoke up, she wasn't met with compassion. She was met with silence. Or worse, contempt. And that silence, it didn't just hurt. It erased her. "You feel invisible," she said. "Unless you're playing the part he's assigned you. Step out of that role." And suddenly, you're the problem. It wasn't just Mary. It wasn't just Janelle. Christine had said the same thing. Different stories. Same truth. When asked if she agreed with Christine's view that Cody valued appearances over substance, Janelle didn't pause. "It's always been about the image," she said. Everything had to look right, even if it felt wrong. Then her voice cracked, just slightly. You start to wonder, were you loved for who you are? Oh, or were you just there to fill the picture? That honesty struck a chord, especially for women who've lived that double life, perfect on the outside, empty within. And then, Robin. When her name came up, the energy shifted. Robin, emotional. Asked why she was still being discussed this way? I thought we'd moved past this, she said, visibly hurt. I thought we were working toward peace. Wait, am I still part of the problem? Mary, without malice, spoke plainly. I just want to be truthful, she said. I didn't bring you and Cody together. That narrative isn't accurate. She wasn't bitter. It's just honest. And the discussion, like the family was finally confronting the full weight of the past. Then it was Cody's turn. He didn't come with vulnerability. He came with defensiveness in a preview clip. He's visibly upset, voice raised, hands gesturing wildly. They're mocking me, he said. They've moved on. I'm still the punchline in their therapy sessions. That anger, that deflection only confirmed what the women had been saying. This was never about revenge. It was about reclaiming their voices. The conclusion, when truth finally sets you free, it doesn't always feel peaceful. At times, it's raw, uncomfortable, necessary. This final installment of the tell-all wasn't just a recap. It was a reckoning, especially for Janelle. She didn't come to play victim or cast blame. She came to name the cost, the years of silence, the emotional toll, the identity lost in a system that never saw her fully. And she stood there beneath the lights after over a decade of playing peacemaker and told the truth, not the safe version, the real one. For everyone who's followed this story through seasons or lifetimes, it was a reminder. Healing doesn't begin with comfort. It begins with one honest voice breaking the silence.